During all my travels, one of the most memorable and yet saddest experiences took place when I visited Jordan. And I went to Mount Nebo, Har Nevo, which it is said is the spot where Moshe saw the promised land from afar. He could only see it, but he could not enter it. When I was standing there and saw this magnificent vista in front of me, I almost cried thinking of how it must have felt to Moshe. So close, yet so far away. Why didn't he enter the promised land? A punishment. A punishment for something he did wrong in this week's Torah portion, where we're told that the Jews were complaining. Nothing new about that. And Moshe was told by God to take a stick, speak to the rock, and water would flow. And Moshe, instead of speaking, hit the rock. What was so terrible about his hitting the rock? It showed anger on his part. He had exhibited anger before when he smashed the tablets of the law when the Jews created the golden calf. That he was hitting and not speaking. 38 years earlier, when the Jews were leaving Egypt, Moshe hit the rock and water came out, and that was considered praiseworthy. What was wrong with him doing it 38 years later? Explains a wonderful commentary, the Netziv. The mistake that Moshe made was that he was doing the same thing 38 years later that he had done before. And he hadn't changed, but the Jewish people had. When the Jews came out of Egypt, they had this pagan culture in their head. So to impress them, to feel the hand of God, hit that rock and show the supernatural wonders that God can do for you. But 38 years later, this was a different Jewish people. They had spent 38 years with Moshe, feeling God's connection. They needed a different response. Moshe was still doing things the same old way. He could not lead them into the promised land. Today, one of the differences between ultra-Orthodox and modern Orthodox has to do with this issue. If people have changed, should our approach change? And the ultra-Orthodox follow a tradition based on an interpretation of the Chatam Sofer that Chadash Asur Min HaTorah, anything new, any changes, is forbidden by the Torah. The modern Orthodox follow a different tradition, a tradition that was expressed by Rav Kook, who said, let's renew the old and sanctify the new. Do you know who is the most famous modern Orthodox Jew of the 20th century? Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. No, I know how he dressed, but that's just the way he dressed. That was not the way he thought. Rabbi Schneerson realized that the Jews that he knew from the Ukraine in his youth were very different from the Jews he was now dealing with here in the United States. And so while others were saying that television is treif, he was establishing a cable network for Chabad learning. While others were saying, don't ask questions, just do it, he was establishing one of the most important publishing houses for Jewish learning to reach out to people. While those were saying that the internet should be banned from the house, his Hasidim were establishing one of the best educational forces for Jews on the internet. While others were saying cottage ruins Jewish lives, the Lubavitcher Rebbe was establishing Chabad houses. He knew that we were dealing with a new Jew, and he would have to be approached in a new way. And thousands upon thousands of lives have become better because of this. This Shabbos, we read how Moshe continued doing things the old way. Last Shabbos is the yahrzeit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Reminds us how we have to keep thinking how to do things newer and better ways. May his memory continue to inspire. Shabbat Shalom.